Hi, welcome to Planetary Calendars, Astro Portraits. I'm Ralph D. Meachus, one of the astrologers. The portrait this time is part of our series about actresses that do roles in action films. And the person this time is Zoe Saldana. Now, I've always liked Zoe partially because she's a fellow New Jerseyan, born in Passaic, New Jersey on June 19th, 1978, a Monday at 8:49 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Now, it's funny, the series that we're running right now has a whole bunch of Geminis in it. We just did the chart for Angelina Jolie, another Gemini, Helen Hunt, another Gemini. Different moons, though. Different moons. They both have the same moon. They both have the Gemini Sun and the Aries moon, but actually, Zoe Saldana has a different moon. She has another fire moon, though. Her moon is in Sagittarius. And this is kind of interesting because usually what we look for in these action charts are the influences of Mars and Mercury. Because Mars and Mercury are the ones that tend to get into stuff. And they don't really, ask about why. The director says, go there, and they say, okay, and they go do it. And they move things along. She has the sun in Gemini, but it's the only planet she has there. She has Estrella there as well. She might have wanted to study law. She's got Leo rising with Venus conjunct the rising, just above it in what's called the Gogolon spot. So from very early on, people recognized her as being very Venusian, as very, very beautiful. From very early on, even probably when she was a little girl and, maybe her features weren't as beautiful as you might have thought, they would come across that way. It's actually a position that Angelina Jolie has, where Venus conjunct the rising, but in her position it's Cancer. So Zoe comes across as more fiery, because you now have the fire rising with Venus there, and you have the moon in a fire sign. And the other planet we do find that's important in all of this is Jupiter, or the Jupiter ruled signs, because Jupiter is athletic, and a lot of these roles are very, very athletic. So having Sagittarius, the extrovert or masculine ruling sign of Jupiter, would really matter. She has multiple bodies in Jupiter, okay? She has the moon, Pallas Athena, the warrior goddess, conjunct the moon, both at 9 degrees. Vesta at 10 degrees. Whenever Vesta gets close to a planet, it supercharges it. It really heats it up. So you have the three of these very, very close together. What's interesting is that they are trine the rising. The moon and Pallas are trine partile, same degree at the 9 degree Leo rising. It means they're generally trine the Venus. So the two sides of her feminine personality are both fiery, and they communicate real easily. They have no problem with that. Her beauty and her desire to nurture, they all communicate very easily. The Pallas Athena, the desire to have skills. She has a very strong need to have creative skills. When she got into acting and she found that it was a skill set, she loved it. This was just joy to her. This was just fun. She also has Neptune there at 16 degrees, so it's pretty tight. I mean, from the moon to Neptune is only 7 degrees. It's very strong, so very strong imagination. She really comes up with ideas very quickly. Give her a new role and she'll fill all the spots in. She'll create the whole personality very easily. What's interesting is that, like many of these actresses, she has a bunch of stuff in the 12th house. The 12th house is the house of imagination. It's the house of the studio, the protected space. She has Mercury there in Cancer, and she has Jupiter there. And Jupiter's in its exaltation sign in Cancer. And this is interesting. This is where it gets real, real interesting. She has a number of very important star hits. Conjunct the moon in Pallas Athena is the star Antares, which means like ours, or like Mars. It's a very martial star. It's a big red giant, and she has her moon and Pallas there. It gives her great emotional intensity. Great, and right, the moon moves things, and it's in the 5th house. So in creative fields, she really brings a lot of energy to it. Mars is at 2 degrees Virgo. Saturn's at 26 degrees. Right between there at about 0 degrees or 1 degree Virgo is the star Regulus. These are the real prominent stars rising. She has multiple stars, planets rising, Venus, Saturn, Mars in a row. People recognize very quickly who she was from when when they first encountered her. They recognized very quickly who she was. They could see who she was right away. She was a beautiful girl. She was hardworking, Saturn in Leo, Mars in Virgo, and she really listened. She followed instructions. Mars in Virgo is really good at listening, following instructions. At Regulus, the heart. She brought her heart to it. Jupiter in the 12th house, in the house of the studio, the house of the theater. It's Jupiter, athleticism in Cancer with Mercury. Jupiter at the star Sirius, the brightest star in the sky after the sun. The United States, patron star. July 4th, the sun is conjunct Sirius. 3 major star hits. 3 major star hits. This is the kind of stuff you see in a chart where someone will come from what would seem like very basic background and is elevated to visibility. They just comes out of obscurity to visibility because they just shine. She has those 3 different points. What's interesting is that she has the South Node in Aries, okay, the other Mars-ruled sign. She has Uranus and Selena in the 4th house in Scorpio. So those Mars-ruled signs are not real powerful, though there was things about her home that were more martial or unusual. The 2 Mercury-ruled signs, she has the Sun in one Mercury-ruled sign, and she has the Mars in the other Mercury-ruled sign. So those are significant. That those 2 are significant. That Mars in Virgo, Regulus is powerful. The Sun in Gemini is very powerful. But the other components are really that powerful 5th house, that Moon, Pasadena, Vesta, Neptune, is real significant because they support that Venus rising. And it's all in fire. It's in fire signs. What's interesting is that polarity, Moon in Sag, Sun in Gemini, if you've been following the series, where else do we see that? Nicole Kidman. Nicole Kidman, the big difference there, I believe, is that Nicole Kidman has Cancer rising, and she has Leo rising. Never underestimate Cancer. Angelina Jolie has Cancer rising. Jennifer Gardner has Cancer rising. Nicole Kidman, Cancer rising, I believe. Cancer is a very powerful sign. We tend to think, it's the sign of the mother. Yeah, who ran your life for most of your life? Your mother. The Cancer is a very powerful sign. If you look at our particular approach to the dignities, as they're called, we really elevate Cancer's position. It tends to be, it's the Sun, and then Cancer, it's Leo, and then no. They're a pair. They're both very powerful. You look at a lot of the most successful people in American history, or traditionally throughout history, a tremendous number of them were Cancerians. Tremendous number. So it's a very interesting position. But she has the Leo rising, the Venus rising, powerfully supported by that Moon coming from Sagittarius, with the Jupiter in exaltation in Cancer related back to that Moon. So it's really a lot about feminine power, but it's fire. There's a lot of fire. And like I said, it's really, you look at Saldana, Zoe Saldana, look at Nicole Kidman. They're completely different. One's one is, quite dark with dark hair. One is, blonde, red hair blonde. But if you really look at the 2 of them in terms of the career, there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of similarities from their personalities. So, I think that she really fits in well to this group of actresses who do action roles. So, until next time, please come visit us at Planetary Calendar Astrology on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. It's a big help to us, and and make sure you set the little bell so you get reminders, because we do our portraits every Tuesday. They're quite educational, or at least we hope they are. We intend that they are. And of course, we do our forecasts for the coming week every Friday from the Planetary calendar. And you can also go to planetarycalendar.com to get your day planners or to get your calendars, because you want to know what's going on. Until next time, be well.